What if I told you that one of the greatest rock bands in history built their legacy on borrowed riffs, lifted lyrics, and bluesy déjà vu? Today we're diving into the tracks that made Led Zeppelin legends, but with a twist you didn't see coming. Behind the thunderous riffs and iconic lyrics lie stories that might just rewrite rock history. Number 1. Dazed and Confused, Jake Holmes. Ever heard a song so good you just had to steal it? That's basically what happened when Jimmy Page watched Jake Holmes perform Dazed and Confused live in '67. The very next year, boom, Led Zeppelin rolls out their own version. Same name, same moody bass line, same vibe, just louder and with more hair.
I'm dazed and confused.
They didn't credit Holmes, not as a co-writer, not as a whisperer. For decades, fans just assumed Zeppelin made it up, until Holmes, tired of the silence and the royalty drought, finally sued in 2010. Spoiler, it settled out of court, and Zeppelin quietly added him to the credits.
You're out to get me, you're on the right track.
So was it a tribute or a straight-up theft? Either way, it was the first domino in a pattern that would follow them for years. And speaking of not giving credit where it's due, let's talk about Ann Breeden and a ballad Zeppelin borrowed called Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. Number 2, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Ann Breeden.
Baby, baby, I'm gonna leave you.
Here's a fun trick. Take a folk song written by someone else, plug in some wailing vocals, crank up the reverb, and call it yours. That's exactly what Zeppelin did with Ann Breeden's 1950s folk ballad.
Babe, I'm gonna leave you.
You know I've got to rumble.
Jimmy Page heard Joan Baez's version, brought it to the band, and boom, instant heartbreak anthem on their debut album. Only problem? They didn't credit Breeden at all.
That old highway's calling. Tell you I can hear it.
Not joking about it, baby. I really mean it.
For decades, Zeppelin listed the song as traditional, arranged by Page, which is a bold move when the original songwriter is very much alive and probably listening. Eventually, Breeden found out, and shocker, lawyers got involved.
I'd like to stay here. You know I'd really like to stay here.
Oh, I can hear it calling me.
By the 1990s, Zeppelin quietly added her name to the credits. Retroactive honesty, or just trying to dodge another PR fire? Either way, the next song takes it up a notch, with blues legend Willie Dixon and a lyric swipe that landed Zeppelin in hot water. Let's talk about Whole Lotta Love. Number 3, Whole Lotta Love, Willie Dixon.
You need cooling, woman, I ain't fooling.
What happens when you lift lyrics straight from a blues legend and scream them over one of the most iconic riffs in rock history? Apparently, you get a global hit and a lawsuit from Willie freaking Dixon. Yep, Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love borrowed heavily from Dixon's You Need Love, originally performed by Muddy Waters.
You got yarning, and I got money.
Way down.
We're talking exact lines like, way down inside, woman, you need love. Subtle? Not even a little. Dixon wasn't amused. He sued, and Zeppelin ended up settling in 1985, adding Dixon's name to the credits and cutting a check that probably made up for a decade of radio silence.
You got to have some love. I'm gonna give you some love.
So next time you're headbanging to that iconic riff, just know it came with legal footnotes. And if you think that was bold, wait until you hear how they messed with Howlin' Wolf. Number 4, The Lemon Song, Howlin' Wolf. If blues theft were a sport, Zeppelin would have taken gold with The Lemon Song. And their biggest flex? Lifting the guts of Howlin' Wolf's killing floor and strutting it around like it was hot off the press. Wolf's original had teeth, raw, rough, and real. Zeppelin just slapped a funkier groove on it, added some citrus-based innuendo, and called it a day. Bold move, boys. Did they credit Howlin' Wolf? Nope. No liner note love, just full-blown creative reinterpretation, aka musical shoplifting. Cue Wolf's publisher with the legal lemon squeezer. Lawsuit? Filed. Credit? Eventually granted. Zeppelin? Busted again. But don't roll the credits just yet. Our next track proves Zeppelin had more Dixon on speed dial than a Chess Records receptionist. Up next, Bring It On Home. Number 5, Bring It On Home, Willie Dixon. You know what's clever? Stealing a song and admitting it, but only for the first 45 seconds. That's exactly what Zeppelin did with Bring It On Home. The intro and outro, straight up Willie Dixon, harmonica and all. But that middle section, the loud, swaggering riff parade, that was totally original. Or at least that's what they claimed. Convenient, huh? The plan must have been, if we sandwich our song between 2 stolen slices of blues, maybe no one will notice. Spoiler alert, people noticed, especially Dixon's publisher, who marched them straight into another legal battle. The outcome? Another out-of-court settlement and another credit correction. At this point, Dixon probably deserved a featuring tag on the album. So far, Zeppelin's rap sheet is stacked with blues thefts. But don't worry, we're shifting gears next into folk territory. And the next target? A young man named Bert Jansch and a little tune called Black Mountain Side. Number 6, Black Mountain Side, Bert Jansch. Imagine spending years perfecting your haunting folk arrangement only for a rock god to swoop in, slap on some tabla drums, and call it inspired. That's basically what happened when Jimmy Page lifted Bert Jansch's version of the traditional tune Black Water Side and rebranded it as Black Mountain Side.
Through the fall.
Jansch's intricate finger-picking, copied almost note for note. Zeppelin fans thought it was mystical and exotic. Folk purists? They heard plagiarism with the sitar. But unlike the blues man before him, Jansch never sued. Why? Maybe he was too chill. Or maybe he figured karma would do its thing. And let's be honest, the folk scene wasn't exactly lawyered up in the 70s.
To this young man.
But don't get too comfortable, because next up is the crown jewel of Zeppelin's catalog. You know the one, the legendary anthem that built their legacy, and maybe borrowed its opening from a psychedelic rock band named Spirit. Yep, it's time to talk about Stairway to Heaven. Number 7, Stairway to Heaven, Spirit. You know you've made it when your biggest hit ends up in court. Stairway to Heaven, the song boomers called sacred scripture, was dragged through a plagiarism lawsuit thanks to its uncanny resemblance to Spirit's instrumental Taurus. And here's the kicker. Zeppelin opened for Spirit in '68. So yeah, they didn't just hear the song, they probably slow clapped to it backstage. The first 20 seconds of both tracks, nearly identical, like change the name and hope no one notices identical. For years, nobody cared until Spirit's estate decided to stir the pot. Lawsuit time. Zeppelin fought back, swore it was original, and walked away legally clean. But let's be real, just because the jury didn't catch them this time, doesn't mean the rest of us didn't. Spirit may have lost the case, but they won the internet. So after almost losing Stairway to Heaven in court, you'd think Zeppelin might lay low, right? Nope. Instead, they dipped into some 1950s rock and roll. Next up, a not-so-subtle swing through Ritchie Valens' catalog with Boogie with Stu. And yes, it gets weird. Number 8, Boogie with Stu, Ritchie Valens. You'd think if you were going to borrow from a legend who died tragically young, the least you'd do is give proper credit, right? But no, Zeppelin took Ritchie Valens' "Oh, my head," slapped on a few tweaks, renamed it Boogie with Stu, and called it a day. Valens' mother was even listed for royalty purposes, as a nice gesture, they claimed. But spoiler, she never saw a dime. And that sweet little tribute, it got them sued. Valens' publisher was like, "You gave credit to his mom, but not to us? Cute, see you in court." Zeppelin settled, but the whole thing felt more like a guilt trip in 4/4 time than a lawsuit. The whole thing was like trying to rob a bank and leave a tip for the teller. It still counts as theft. And just when you thought Zeppelin was done raiding the rock pantry, they reach into Moby Grape's cupboard for some bluesy seasoning. Up next, it's Since I've Been Loving You. And this one definitely leaves a sour taste. Number 9, Since I've Been Loving You, Moby Grape. You ever hear a song and go, "Wait a minute, I've been here before"? That's the deja vu Moby Grape fans got when Zeppelin dropped Since I've Been Loving You. Because, shocker, the opening riff bears a spooky resemblance to Moby Grape's Never, released 2 years earlier.
From 11 to 7 every night.
Same slow burn, same bluesy wail, same should we be calling our lawyers energy. Now, Moby Grape never sued, but the rock rumor mill lit up like a stolen amp. Zeppelin claimed it was just a coincidence. Right, and I coincidentally wrote Shakespeare in my sleep.
How happy I would be to 11 here and night.
And it's not just the chords, the whole vibe feels lifted. It's like borrowing someone's diary, rewriting it in cursive and calling it poetry. Brilliant? Sure. Original? Eh. And just when you think Zeppelin's done ruffling feathers, their next inspiration was so old school, it was practically carved on stone tablets. Number 10, In My Time of Dying. Traditional, Blind Willie Johnson.
My time of dying.
Nothing says rock and roll rebellion like borrowing from a 1920s gospel blues hymn. That's right, Zeppelin's thunderous In My Time of Dying wasn't just a spiritual meltdown with slide guitars and cymbal crashes. It was originally Blind Willie Johnson's solemn plea to the heavens.
Married, haven't been a minute apart.
So I could die easy.
Zeppelin turned it into a drum-smashing, lung-shredding death march, and then, in true Zepp fashion, slapped their names on it like they wrote it in a fever dream.
Oh, well, bang my feet.
No lawsuit this time because, hey, it was traditional, and the blues community was probably too exhausted to chase them down by 1975. But the audacity? Peak Zeppelin. Taking a funeral dirge and turning it into a stadium anthem without so much as a wink? That's not homage, that's Grand Theft Gospel. Rock legends are riff bandits. Either way, Zeppelin left behind a trail of hits and lifts. Drop a comment with your verdict. Hit like if your jaw dropped, and subscribe for more rock and roll revelations.